Hey y'all, welcome to Gamira's Kitchen. Today I'm showing you how to make a delicious shrimp and okra gumbo. Now this gumbo is thickened with the okra. This is a no-roux gumbo, like the oldest versions of gumbos were by the original enslaved Africans. I hope you all enjoy this recipe. Check out my ebook, and here are the ingredients. I'm using 12 ounces of okra. These were frozen and then I cut them in half. One of my subscribers in the UK says I can call this Worcester sauce. Okay, apparently that's what they call it in the UK. Like, am I being international now? Okay. Now I have the Holy Trinity here, as well as a bay leaf, some fatback, and some thyme and some garlic. I brought this sausage back from Louisiana, and baby, this is some of the best smoked sausage I have ever had. Unfortunately, I can't find it locally though. Use anyone that you like. Now, these are my seasonings, keeping it pretty minimal. Creole seasoning, seafood magic, some salt-free Cajun seasoning, as well as some mixed herbs. I have a pound of small shrimp. I have a few bouillons, some butter, and I know some of the Cajuns gonna act up saying you see the tomatoes, but I am putting some tomatoes in there, 2 cups of fresh tomatoes, because I just have so much in my garden right now. Now, for what I've learned about gumbo history is that the introduction of using a roux with brown flour is really a European thing from the French influence in Louisiana, and that the original gumbos were not made with roux from the enslaved Africans. In fact, gumbo means okra in West Africa, and when I used to live in Ghana, I used to have okra stew, very similar to gumbo, so I can see the direct correlation. I have cooked and browned this sausage in the butter with the fatback for about 4 to 5 minutes, and then I'm going to take it out. A problem most people have with using a lot of okra in their gumbos or soups and dishes is that okra can be slimy. It has a lot of mucilage that it releases. However, frying it in the oil first significantly reduces that, but it still allows the okra to have the thickening power. So I am going to fry this for a good 5 to 6 minutes, and I'm doing this straight from frozen. It should have a nice little color on it. Now, one tip with the okra is that buying the whole frozen okra and then cutting it in halves and thirds is actually better than buying the pre-cut okra. I have found that the pre-cut okra is definitely made from older okra because the outside is more woody, but always the whole okra is young and tender when you buy it frozen. And actually, I think this is better quality than some of the fresh one, so I would definitely go for that. As you can see, I seasoned the okra a little bit, just a tiny bit, with that Cajun seasoning and seafood magic. I'm going to use 1 shrimp bouillon cube as basically the salt to help release some of the water in my vegetables, and I'm going to saute this and continuously stir it for about 2 good minutes. You do want some color to develop to release that flavor, and then I'm going to throw in my thyme, my bay leaf, my salt-free Cajun seasoning, and my mixed herbs. The salt-free Cajun seasoning has all your garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, all of that, so you don't have to measure out those items. And then I'm going to throw in my tomatoes. I simply crush these cherry tomatoes with my hand, but you can actually use 1 can of diced tomatoes. That's perfectly fine. If you do that, I would go for one that has no salt. I cover this for just about 3 minutes on low, just to really lock the flavor into those vegetables. And then I added in my sausage, and y'all, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I did not measure the water, but I did boil it in my kettle so it wouldn't reduce the temperature in my pot. I estimate that I put in probably about 2 quarts or 8 cups of water, but just make it until it reaches about this level. I have a 5-quart Dutch oven, so you could kind of estimate based on that. It is fairly loose, and then I'm going in with about 2 teaspoons of this Worcester sauce. And that adds a nice deep flavor to the broth, as well as a 1.5 teaspoons of chicken bouillon. Now at this point, don't adjust the seasoning too much because you're going to allow this to simmer for 30 minutes uncovered on a medium heat. After 30 minutes, I'm then going to go in with my okra, and I'm going to simmer this for 30 more minutes. And I'm adding in about 1 cup of frozen okra that I did not toast because I want it to actually get thick. So that's what I decided to do, but that's optional. I know if you don't want the, mucus, you don't have to add that, okay? In total, my gumbo has been simmering for 1 hour. And now I'm going to put in my shrimp. They have been rinsed off, but they're not totally defrosted. And I'm going to allow this to cook covered for about 3 minutes. The shrimp will release their own water into the gumbo, so you don't need to adjust the water level yet. At this point, I decided to go in with a little bit of browning. This is not traditional and also not needed, just so the gumbo would be a little bit darker, but that's totally optional. At this point, you can adjust the seasonings, but mine was absolutely perfect. Let me know if you will try my version of a roux-less gumbo, and if your family likes it, I think you will enjoy it. But if you do want to add a roux, you can add the dry roux from my previous gumbo video, and I will link that in the description box. Don't forget that I love you and Jesus loves you, and I'll see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye.